Uh, yeah, they were the first to the punch, right? That kind of technology began overseas. So like Samsung Galaxy 1, like just the original Samsung Galaxy was a flip phone, I believe, or it was like relatively unassuming. I'm thinking it might have been a flip phone. So like the very first smartphones were of the flip phone generation. Or maybe even slightly before that. They also had radical adoption of Palm Pilots. So Palm Pilots with LTE enabled likely existed that were on par with the iPhone in some respects, right? I mean, I know they existed, but they weren't widely circulated, right? So I understood a lot about the world at that age, and I was aware of South Central America and the types of rural poverty that existed there, and this sort of two-class system of, you know, skyscraper and favela. So, like, I could see, you know, and I was also aware of the Middle East and other places as well. There was a lot of political instability that widespread adoption of cell phones would represent, smartphones specifically, right? The phone networks had already been transformational in all of these regions. Phone networks were, you know, and then prior to that, you would probably look to see, like, you know, telegraphs, obviously, but even more so than that, mail, you know, the ability to print things and ship them, you know, so newspapers, print media, stuff like this, letters, correspondence through traditional means. So these are like the generational improvements. In this generation, we have the internet, which is completely like devoid of any sort of tethers to the previous ways of the world. So physical proximity is, you know, it's like we're all crammed into one pen, whereas previously it took a long time to move across the world and across the country, through your states, across town, all these kind of things. People kept more of a key on where people were at or what they were doing in a different kind of way. Now there's kind of this assumption of immediacy from the internet. People have mostly regimented themselves inside of cliques, and it is a very rough time to be somebody who is not regimented in a clique, right? So standalone syndrome is something I've heard of as like an anime, just like they have like a still. So standalone syndrome, I suppose you could call I have, right? you could say I have standalone syndrome, but you know, I don't regret that, because it's, you know, you also hear phrases like avoid those that stick to crowds because they're nothing alone. You know, I can do all this by myself. Like, I don't need anybody except for myself and my capacity to research on the internet to figure out how to navigate installing and going about getting the Final Fantasy XIV client, which I know sounds kind of strange, but like if you actually see how it is, they have like 3 different websites. Asmongold has referenced it before, like actually getting the right type of account. Steam versus Final Fantasy XIV launcher and all this other. It's strange. And so anyways, yeah, I can do this and I can do these other things as well. And I can do much more. But yeah, I'm like collaborative in nature. I'm a human being, so I require some sort of socialization and ideally peership, you know, peers. Whenever you have a Bitcoin client, you have a cryptocurrency client, you sync with peers, right? So you have to have peers to sync with and, you know, talk about things. And so that's kind of the role that you would hope that card games fill. But the truth is that, especially these days, you know, entering peer, like, are you really peer? You may be peers in one domain, but not another, right? You may be peers in the term of the card game, or maybe I'll actually be entering in as less than a peer, or in some way kind of like an expert beginner, which is something I saw another one of these popular streamers talking about. The rise of the expert beginner. And yeah, it's like you're really skilled at learning and adapting to things and figuring out as you go how to navigate accomplishing things from existing information on the internet. And you have just basic competency of being able to do they cap the free trial. It's supposed to be like it's free through June 20th up to like 3 days worth of playtime or something. Like, okay, I don't really care. I could resubscribe if I really wanted to. It's a shame that I like didn't get any views on WoW, so I just kind of didn't resubscribe. I will play it again at some point, but like I'm not going to chase the vaults if I can't even get at the minimum like interaction. It's true I didn't really push into guilds, but it's the same kind of problem as with card games that I'm about to elaborate on. It's like you may be peers in some regards in terms of like the card game or the video game that you're currently playing, but also like it's a sort of peerlessness that comes with being somebody that stands alone, because nobody is really experiencing your life experience. Like if you have, most people, they shuffle from group to group to group to group to group, and they're defined by their grouping. Seriously. You go from kindergarten, you progress up to high school, you go to a college or a job. At some point, it transitions, or you start your own business, and then your own business has its own group, and so you go from group to group to group, and there's really no downtime in that. There's no, if you're learning or gaining skills or researching, you're doing it under the guide of somebody else in an organization, and there's always a group of peership. There's always a class or a flight or a group or something, right? That does not really exist. And also, we have tons of like bad groupings. We created all sorts of, there are all sorts of groups you can sit down in and join, and they won't really do you any good. It's like there is a comparative advantage somewhere else that you would have rather have been grouped somewhere else. Right? So I've had tons of opportunities in my life that I've not really seized upon or taken upon. I've had women approach me, which is something which a lot of men never really experience. I mean, seriously, like not even once in their life would they ever have a woman like just kind of like walk up to them and be interested in them in some kind of way, right? And for me, mostly I'm interested in getting money and setting a certain type of lifestyle for myself. Like I want to be able to have my own homestead and be able to be online and know that I have money so that I can eat and pay for all the things I want and do all these various hobbies, which are expensive. You see all these different kind of YouTubers. Just imagine somebody who wants to kind of do their own version of every single one of them combined without, necessarily going too far into any specialization. So, I don't know. I would say, what's that one guy? Stuff Made Here. I'm pretty sure is the channel I'm referring to. The one with the basketball, self-correcting basketball hoop and the baseball bat, the loaded baseball bat, and whatever else. He's done a lot of really good inventions in his, he's demonstrated cool concepts can be achieved. And he has a really nice garage studio set up, kind of like a warehouse or a hangar or something like this. And I don't know that I would ever really be necessarily, I don't know how sophisticated I would ever get. I don't have a project in mind. I also don't have a budget or a place to even begin to like conceive of that. My thinking is whatever I would do would just kind of arise naturally out of some progression of events. Right? So I don't know what the project would be, but maybe I'll get like a robotic arm and I could do like self cooking programming. Like if I had the money right now and the place and I was in the right mood, I could just, and it's like, oh, like $10,000 for a robotic arm that's like proper, like one they would actually use in a factory, right? If I got one of those, then I could program that to do various functions. You know, it's not that difficult. I understand how to go through code and do coordinate based like arrangement of actions. That's super easy. The problem is I don't have like 10 grand for a robotic arm and a place to do it at, and nobody gives a fuck about me. And trying to actually make a name for yourself is egregiously difficult in an age of, you know, self-interested people who have access to international communications. So that's a little bit about myself. And then also, as I was saying, I was very aware, to go back to why it's so rough for white people this generation. I know, complain about it. Like, nobody cares, right? It's like, oh, boo-hoo. But seriously, like, you just, you know, I don't know. Like, my dad's generation had like, my granddad had like 9 kids. He had like 9 kids, I think. It was like 8, 9 kids. I don't know how many siblings were my dad has specifically. I met most of them. I think I met all of them at least once. But there's like 1 or 2 of them that I only met once, and several of them are deceased. So, you know, it's you know, maybe I can count on like one hand the number of times I met most of them, as in like one day I met them for like an hour and a half in my entire life, right? So, but, you know, growing up in an environment like that, you have a lot going on. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of space. There's a lot of, you know, so like generationally, my dad basically went, oh, all that stuff is like, you know, he always assumed he could return to it and didn't really like contemplate my loss of it, right? And when you look at, you know, the difference between living in a suburb and living in a rural area with a big family, small family, suburb, big family, rural area, right? I mean, I know which one I would prefer, and I think genetically we are predispositioned basically to be in that environment. And my life is miserable because I'm not. And it's like I can't go back and like make choices that my father made. You know, it's like you don't have the capacity to control that facet of your life in youth, right? Like up until age 18, it's like your parents are pretty much going to set the location for you. And then even after that, it's going to be tremendously difficult to like justify certain aspects of like leaving the area to go somewhere else. Like, well, you're going to like go move to a new city, buy a bunch of furniture, put down on a new place, and then have like all your possessions need to be transited. And then if you ever want to like go somewhere else. And the truth is, the United States has a lot of pitfalls, has a lot of places you don't want to be, apartment complexes, you know, next to nice housing area. You know, you can drive 15 minutes and go from a nice place to live to a bad place to live. And then also, even if you get like what would be quote unquote a nice place to live, you have to be considerate of the fact that of that driving. Like if you have a really bad ghetto around you, they might come, you know, attack you where you know, it's like the United States has horrific crimes. It's fucked up. And, you know, my thinking of how you avoid that and how you get a handle on that personally is, it's like, this is my defined area. This is, you know, instead of being crammed in to a suburb, you know, you drive a bit to get where you're going, and you can say at least that, like, as far as you see, you pretty much know what's going on. And as far as your immediate neighbors, by the nature of the, you know, population density and being in a more agrarian area, you know the people more, thus lowering chances for conflict, ideally. But then that can also backfire, because if you know people really well, or if you like you have some people that don't really like fit in, it's like problem people can become even more problem people because you're like isolated out there. Like police response, is really important. Health response, like if you go to an agrarian area, is your local like EMS like suitable, right? Like that's a consideration, as well as is your police department, like if there was somebody that was like going that was like just went ballistic downtown, right? Like went ballistic in the Dollar General or something like that, like that's like the only thing you might have in a rural area. Or is there going to be a police response? Like, you think about these things, these services matter. And I'm just trying to get an edge in this. So for white people, we went from a very low crime, lots of people, picnics at the state parks. If you actually kind of know the history, it was much better to be part of the group of people that had a bunch of picnics at state parks and littered to the point where they stopped allowing people to, like, I don't know, they just like implemented all sorts of rules because of how people used to use state parks. That's all I'm saying. Like in the 60s, in the 70s, like there was this huge wellspring of like positive forward economic momentum. You had like black people had their culture too. A lot of people would say, oh yeah, it's better for white people back then because black people had it so bad, or something like this, or like because of racism. And it's just like, it's not even true. It was just all around better for everybody. Like Earth, Wind, and Fire were around back then, right? Like they had all kinds of positive movements in art and everything else. People just felt it was like a really big high of humanism, right? There was a huge humanistic movement. Nowadays, we have these weird, like, niche movements. We have highly individualized people rather than this kind of like everybody forward together. We're all watching the same TV shows. We're all listening to the same radio channels. We all like the same food and drink. It's, oh no, I do this very specific thing, and then algorithmically we are stalked by corporations to appeal to that very specific pathology, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just been a really bad time altogether. I went to a school with 20 people in my graduating class, and we were the last graduating class because they shut down because they weren't like making enough money, and the reputation of the school had gone down. It's kind of an anomaly. It was a private school, and they had an experiment of one of our coaches who is really kind of wanting. You could tell he always, taking high school coaching seriously is kind of like, or like you want to go to college coaching. You're like an aggressive middle career coach. Like, I don't know. It's not that I disrespect the person. It's just the kind of energy is a little bit like, it's difficult to fully respect it. I think a lot of people understand what I mean. It's kind of like childish almost, right? The way that some people get involved in sports and the way that some people take it. To me, I see it as kind of like a fitness thing more than like you want to be fit, so you play sports. A lot of people are very competitional, and I think it's almost like boring to be competitional in that way when it comes to that stuff. Like, for instance, kicking, I don't know, would you rather go out on a soccer field with like a bag full of balls, so you have like 10 balls and you get to like take a bunch of shots on goal and you're like doing all sorts of fun tricks and stuff like this? Or would you rather like go sit on a field while like one person has the ball at any given time, and like everybody else is just standing around waiting for something to happen that would give them something to do, you know? Like, it's boring. Like, would you rather go, take shots on a goal? Would you rather go shoot shots on a basketball net? Or, would you rather go drive at a range or play a full round of golf and have to, like, get the golf cart and go find your ball, and, like, there's other people in front of you and ahead of you, and the other one you just get to drive shots. It's the more simplified version of it. I'd rather go to like a batting cage than play a full round of baseball, and you get to bat once, and it takes you like 45 minutes to get there, and then it's like now other people are batting. You're in the outfield. You're just standing there for like an hour while these other people bat. Nothing ever happens. Like the ball never. Sports are boring at certain levels of competition. So yeah, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, yeah, I don't have a huge group of people, and a lot of people don't. And I was also talking about my experience at my school to round back. Yeah, so they hired a bunch of, they gave a bunch of black people, to be blunt, that were athletic scholarships. But it was unprecedented in the school, and it was for a small school. It was for a very small school that mostly had white kids, just like, to put it bluntly, like, and I wasn't, like, it's all well and good, but the truth is that, like, a lot of people didn't go to the school because of that. Like, the school kind of did shut down because of that. That's the truth. They converted it into like a black private school. That's literally what they ended up doing. Like, they were against, they called James F. Burns a racist, which is wasn't that school named after. He was a Freemason. And then they shut it down, and they converted it into a private school that is exclusively for black people. So that's basically what happened with the under the Obama administration to the Biden administration, and I have to note also, I was playing Duolingo before this, and I mean, it's just why, right? So I was doing a lesson, and it was about a black female at an airport. I had to do her lines. She was talking to a flight attendant, and she was talking about how she was looking for a girlfriend who was tall and blonde. So it's like, okay, all right, I guess, I mean, but like, really? Like, why? Like, why would you construct that kind of a scenario if you don't have some sort of political leaning of some sort or another, right? It's kind of like you're intentionally trying to insert like biracial lesbians into it's like, oh yes, what would you, interracial lesbian couple in your language lesson because that's good or something. I'm not, and also the counter would be, well, is it bad? Or is that a bad thing? Well, I'm like, it's the world's language learning. It's like the world's most popular language learning app and platform. And yeah, they have kids of all ages using this thing. And the idea that you could give a child a bunch of leading lessons in whatever they're learning, right, is very real, right? Like the idea that you could try to seduce or induce somebody, you know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of cynical. Propaganda exists all around you, right? Like, on the one hand, like, all right, but also kind of like, I don't know. I think there's not much that's good about that. And, there's tons of interracial children being born, which is fine. Again, I have to say, I'm a proponent of the bell curve. I understand the bell curve. And I also don't think that, I think it was absurd to ban people like Jared Taylor just Jared Taylor of American Renaissance specifically. He's not for everybody, but for who he's for, it's kind of the same thing with Watson and Crick. For anybody to deny the impact of DNA on behavior and personality, you're silly. To suggest that certain types of haplogroups would not exhibit different types of personalities or behaviors, or whatever else you would say, if haplogroups may not be the most technically correct term, you're wrong. You're ridiculous. The idea that there is not epigenetic components to behavior, without knowing too much about it, or at least is it, in the very least, is it behavior is communicative, so if it doesn't even have a genetic component. I'm pretty sure it does. I just believe that very close. You know what I mean? It's just I could not perceive a world otherwise, right? So what that would mean is that, black people be like this and white people be like that. You know what I mean? A little bit. You know what I mean? It's not bad, and it's not racism, and it's scientifically accurate to the point that the discoverer of the model of of DNA, right? Discoverer of the double helix he had his Nobel Prize revoked from him. They removed it because he insisted that there was a genetic component to behavior that would be observable in races, and that population data would suggest trends that would correlate. And I think that is a travesty, because the truth is that there are very intelligent people of every ethnicity, right? Yes, obviously. But then what you're going to encounter on an average interaction whenever you draw a name out of a hat, okay, that sort of phenomena is real, So to go back to make a parallel to what I said earlier about World of Warcraft guilds and trading card games, I want to socialize, and these are avenues where I would like to socialize with people, but I only want to socialize with a small percentage of those people in particular, right? Not to be too dismissive of these other people, but we're just not going to be necessarily neatly aligned. And a lot of them exhibit some very jarring behaviors. A lot of them are not necessarily, I don't know what you would say. There's not a lot nice that could be said about some of it, right? Just imagine your most strangest trading card game players, right? You have a large mix of people in the group, but a lot, I don't know. And even the people that aren't even the strangest ones, just like your average card game player, a lot of them, they're not really concerned about fitness and politics and, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. They're concerned with the game that they play, that you also play, some anime that you don't really have much respect for, and a bunch of other digital nonsense that you don't really like. So, yeah, the stereotypes of card game players and MMO players are not great. I know them. I know they exist for a reason. I know, where I fall in terms of alignment with actually, being part of that stereotype and not. And, yeah, so that's about all I have to say about that. And for me, that is a replacement to the alternative, which would have been growing up on a farm, right? Instead of growing up on a farm and having a huge family and knowing everybody in the area, and at most, having a lot of like physical stuff to do, earning income from it, never really having a moment where there was like a down, just kind of like sit there, twiddle your thumbs. Instead of having all of that fill up your life, you have a suburb and you have random games and you have internet videos. And yeah, so this is my lived experience. I won't shy down from topics of race because I've listened to all sorts of people on the internet and I know the truth about what's out there. I've listened to Asian people admit that like they have experienced race-based hiring, right? I'm not going to deny that as a reality. When I see it all around me, Indian people helping out Indian people to get jobs, Chinese people helping, especially Chinese people, but like Asian people in general, right? In the United States, there's a lot of like Asian washing in that, I think. Like, like the idea, if like an American-born Korean sees an American-born Chinese or an American-born, I don't know, any other like East Asian ethnicity, like Vietnamese, I think a lot of them inside of the United States, it's just like Asian, right? Like a lot of that, like they see another Asian person, they do their best to help them out on the basis of them being Asian, and especially Chinese people, because they are just a particular type of way about how they do things, right? So like all well and good, but like I'm just going to point out that any sort of white advocacy is immediately attacked as racism, right? Any sort of like race consciousness from a white person is immediately attacked as some sort of racist thing. But meanwhile, we have all these people preaching at us for our entire lives. And I say this more than I would like to, but I'll say it again. Martin Luther King Jr., my first book report, nonfiction, right about how he got assassinated. You know what I mean? It was not even required that I read that. That's also a big part of this you have to understand. I chose to do a book report on Martin Luther King Jr. We had to do a nonfiction book report, right? So, I read like the facts of his life, the entire thing cover to cover, with no adult at the age, like in, I guess that was like second grade or third grade. I think that was literally second grade. So, yeah, I don't really have much else to say. And then I played cards with black people, and I played on a football team of black people. I hung out with Bangladeshis. I went over to their motel and into their like little apartment thing and played Call of Duty with them. And I hung out with, another Bangladeshi and some Indians. And I'm not like, I worked with Indians. I'm not going to shy away from the truth of my lived experience. I went up to, I hung out with some Chinese people too. I had a Chinese roommate for a year. So I'm not going to like not talk about race just because I'm white, or just because it will be misconstrued, or because like my position is disfavorable. And a lot of people like to go in response to anybody who discusses race, like, oh, so you're like jealous of other races or other. It's like, no, I wouldn't ever really be jealous of another race because I wouldn't want to be anybody other than myself with money and community. You understand? Like with resources, right? And in this scenario, basically, here's fully competent person. I just need money. I need money to be able to like wake up and be good and not think about all these miscellaneous other things that I need to spend money on, right? And then I can just run away with doing leak code, coding, whatever else. I want to have a huge list of things that I'm accomplishing. Um, and all I can really do is talk about it because I can't force an employer to hire me. I don't have a huge network of Indians and racial biasing, which like works to my advantage. I'm not part of some group that has like, I'm not like part of a fraternity. I'm not part of, I don't have some bargaining group like a lot of people have to go in and leverage. Just I suppose there are like racist white people out there that could choose to hire me on the basis of my race. But for the most part, literally nobody like that exists anymore, right? Because it's legislated out of existence. And when you have other groups who are still allowed to play racial preference, but one group is basically legislated out of the capacity to even conceive of, establishing, my dad joked before about opening up, to my dismay, National Association for the Advancement of White Trash, right? So what was, all these other organizations can have groups of advancement. They can create organizations which, there's Indian advocacy groups. There's all sorts of advocacy groups for every group of people. But the second that you're somebody from like a lower middle class background that is white and you're like encountering rational difficulties that you would expect one to encounter, it is just kind of like, oh, well, you're white. Oh, you have enough generational wealth. Like, what a fucking joke. Like the idea that somebody, oh, you've reached your wealth limit because people in third world nations that are competing to try to achieve your standard of living, and I'm fully aware of the truth of these companies. There are all kinds of people who have been paid millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, without really achieving anything inside of these companies because they've gotten some sort of social leverage within it, right? And yeah, I'm just kind of sick of this at this point. I don't know why there is, and they like this, like the idea that there's some sort of need, like a lot of people will appeal to like, oh, there's a disproportionate amount of white people in yada yada industry as opposed to other people the world over. It's like white people are the world's minority. There are less white people than anybody else. There are more of every other ethnicity on the planet than just general European stock white people that, and especially if you're talking about white people who are like not super ghetto by modern standards, you know what I mean? Like just rednecky, white trashy. I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. Like we have ruined the gene pool in large part through just misguided, I would call it, in a way. It's like, I don't know that there is such a thing, I don't know that there's a goal to be achieved. Like every individual is responsible for their own, and by all means, have mixed race relationships and children and whatever else, but like there is a certain recognition that like you're only going to have these groups to integrate on the basis of their distinction. So what I mean is, if you integrate too much, then there's no longer the established groups from before, and then it kind of collapses. Like, you think that it will just, like, there's still, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to start farming pure white people. It's like, oh no, these ones, they're having like tons of kids for us because they're endangered. We need more of them. Imagine a planet where a certain group of people are treated differently on the basis of their skin color. because we're living in it. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll start streaming now. I don't understand what diversity, equity, and inclusion is really going to bring anybody. I will start actually playing the game now to be more accurate. But yeah, I don't know what this is really supposed to do for anybody in the grand scheme of things. Race-based hiring and college admissions or consideration of any sort is pretty stupid. And that works to the favor of every other ethnicity. And that has mostly been, while that is true, like, you know, it has mostly been a codified negging of white people specifically, because it's really easy. There's so much that's been done from that. There's a handful of very wealthy families which are white, and a lot of Jewish families as well, which by their own, I don't believe that you can like declare yourself like Ashkenazi Jew and then at other times represent white. You know, I'm all for like Jewish people and they're, you know, they can be Jew and all this other stuff. But again, like they can't, you know, and it is one of those things that gets circulated in a lot of like Nazi-ish telegrams and stuff like that, which I've seen before. I don't really frequent, you know, any of that stuff, but you go and look and you see how these people are. It's like if you search current events and things like this, you'll find them. But yeah, you can't at one point claim to speak for, you know, against white people. It is kind of disgusting. You do see it out there. There are people, they say things that certain people need to lower their living standards while and they include themselves in that group while they don't lower their living standards. You know, like we all have to sacrifice for the greater good. Except me, you know, like that guy, that kind of person, nobody wants that. And there are people who have said things on the topic of race on that, using that kind of technique, which I don't really find to be kosher. It is kosher. It's extremely kosher. Yeah, I don't know why we're paying so much money for Israel to be in Palestine whenever, you know, the United States is in such bad condition as it is. And I think that they have plenty enough arms and ammunition and money as it stands. It's like if they can't wage that war and win it without the United States constantly throwing money into it, then that sounds like a personal problem to me, because that sounds like you are really, really, really bad at strategy and warfare, or you're just really, really good at stealing people's money and inventing false reason for money laundering, you know, which is probably the actual case of it. But it's cool to be streaming to 0 viewers except for a terrorist government that likes to stalk people. And the way they treated Colin Flaherty by banning him as well, it's properly unbelievable. I mean, I hope that India does become the next Syria. Like here, let's listen to this group of Indian people, which these are more Americanized Indians than you know. This guy in particular, like he seems like somebody that would be
the politics of those provisions.
But no,
every year
you can't judge by looks. You have to listen to how they see. I feel absolutely 0% of responsibility to pay for somebody who is drinking dirty water in the year 2024. Okay, it's like I have sympathy for people who are, you know, globally wealthy, but not wealthy at the height of which they're capable of performing. I don't have sympathy for people who missed the evolutionary boat hundreds of thousands of years ago. Okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just being real, if you come from a civilization that has not developed aquifers and you're alive in the year 2024, someone you had to do a little bit more work, you know? And that's part of what I was talking about with the cell phone thing earlier. I realized there would be all these different Africans and Central South Americans and Middle Easterners who are coming out of essentially the Bronze Era, you know what I mean? And they're going to be entering into this. I mean, like, they had the Bronze Era plus like VW Beetles, you know, compared to cell phones. I mean, it's like discovering fire for the first time. So, yeah, I mean, I saw this coming, and the truth is like, I don't fucking care about these people because it's probably a scam. You know, these are random black people. They didn't control. It's like all of the crimes of black people that are horrific that Colin Flaherty documented, you know, which is who I was about to look up, right? And I got distracted by the Indians. It's like I'm being told I need to care about all these other people. Cambridge and Oxford, I don't remember which one it is. It's one of the two. Probably both, though. I mean, like, they existed at the same time at the height of the Aztec Empire. They were ripping people still beating hearts out to appease a sun god in the same era as they were studying science in, you know, a proper academic setting with a, you know, with a proper brick building and every, you know, all the trappings. They had water purification. They had, you know, proper scientism was coming about. Leave quests. Battlecraft leaves. Large scale battlecraft leaves. Yeah. You see all this dumb garbage. Yeah. Don't come back, unexpected tourists. Look at this. Jailbreak bird puppet show. Oh yeah, whenever I was going, most of these hotels are garbage. They're like really, they're places where people like basically die. Like the United States hotels are like really, really, really disgusting. Just the hotel industry in general is like less than like trash. I cannot say anything more like awful about hotels. Um, the idea that you're going to like clean a bed every night and let like random people stay in it and not like keep tabs of like who's in what area. Like there's no separation of like, oh, this is like a random couple that are gonna like, you know, or like these people are gonna go back to their room and do drugs and like who got knows God what they're gonna fucking do in this room. Like they don't give a fuck. Like they'll put like a family in the same room. Like they get run through and they need renovation and it happens really quickly, like within a year or two. And then it never happens. And then it just sits there for like 30, 40 years. And whenever you don't have the bare minimum to sign a lease, which is most places like it depends on where you're trying to lease, obviously, but like what a lot of them are is, you know, they want to see your last paycheck, your like last, it has to be like the last 2 months, last 3 months or something, you know, like the immediate last paycheck, and it has to be recent, or like a huge down payment, right? Like on a 12-month lease, it just sucks all around. Like you have to have basically the entire value of the lease up front if you're unemployed. So if you don't have, you'd have like so and so much time to get a job, right? But how are you going to go about doing that? You know, it's way too much. You're living in hotels because you literally don't have a house. Like if you're in a situation where you don't have that, what are you going to do? Your daily upkeep is going to be hotel rates, which is roughly like $4,500 a month, which means that you're staying in like Manhattan, essentially living in the most poorest conditions that you can find as somebody that does not have the capacity to rent an actual place, right? And then there are options. It's just like, oh, I mean, like, do you want to know how bad it gets? You know what I mean? Like, most people, if you were raised in anything other than like the world's like worst conditions, like you would just not accept. There are several times staying in these hotels where I walked in with a like reservation and I'm like, okay, well, now that I've seen the hotel room and I see what it's actually like, I'm not staying here. Give me a refund. I got a refund maybe like 3 or 4 times and it went through properly. And then another like 3 or 4 times I tried to get a refund and they were just like, no, nope, nah, mm-mm. And it was just fucked. It's like, it's a really truly fucked industry. What they would like to do at this one chain is they give you a phone number to call. They say, oh, at the front desk, we can't do anything. And it's like, the fuck you can't. Then they give you a phone number to call. And then the phone number just fucks you around for as long as it takes until you give up. It should be illegal. I think that there should be a law that if somebody goes to a hotel, sees the room, and says no, or, you know, sees some condition that was not elaborated from the hotel, you should be allowed, the rights should be in the hands of the consumer, not the hotel. The hotels constantly like to use the excuse of lost business. Like, oh, we would lose business if we allowed people to cancel their reservation. Yeah, of course you would, because you'd have to improve the quality of your hotels, or like, the idea they imply that they're booking out every single room every night, which they never do, right? Like the idea like, oh, well, we could have booked that room out to somebody else, so you're responsible for our missed money. It's like nobody else would have rented this room in the majority of circumstances if somebody is refusing it, right? I mean, some of the rooms I stayed in, one of the rooms I stayed in smelled like cat piss. I mean, it was awful. I mean, it was like truly just like, I saw, I don't even know, like, it's difficult to explain what it was like. It even had like a fridge in it. So it was one of these things. I thought it would be like nicer because of that, but it was just like so horrendously unclean. Like it had like a stove and a fridge and like a pretty decent TV. And I'm like, okay, that looks pretty good. And it's a pretty good price. Got there, horrific. Everything is like rusty. Like it smells like piss. Like the people there do not look good. You just see people in all sorts of disrepair. Like, you want to see the worst that America has to offer, go stay in hotels that are economical. There's a certain range of like economical hotel which is like tolerable, and then like there's a tier beneath that which is like, these are the kind of people that you see who end up like I don't know. You end up seeing these crazy things that happen on the news. A lot of these people are people that are bouncing around in some of these like extended stay, like whatever. Like they look like they're basically mental institutions or prisons, kind of like a like a Soviet kind of vibe or something. It's like this one place I walked into. Oh, I'm remembering right now. There was like a table. like a single metal table. Oh my god, it was just like hell on earth. The people were behaving all sorts of weird. There was some guy like smoking cigarettes and drinking and like is like talking to people that were emulating sitcom characters or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know this is real fucking life, right? Like, uh, yeah. So my opinion of the United States is really bad because I like actually, I have experience driving the coastline and across, many states. I've been to Washington D.C. twice now. Like I went as a kid and I went as an adult. Actually, like thrice though, because I'm pretty sure I drove through the area twice. Like kind of. I went to Philadelphia. One, I was in North Carolina and I like kind of peeked up there once, and then another time I went further and I went to Delaware and I went through Virginia more. So yeah, I did a lot of driving and I didn't really have a really clean idea of what I was going to do because I didn't really appreciate any of the regions. I just kind of went into each town. I looked at what was there. I just paid attention to the local population. And if I were to go there again, I would immediately have like recall of places and relational, there's all sorts of things I know that I can't even know without being back. I guess if I did like Google Earth VR or something, if did Street View VR. But aside from that, if I'm not looking at a map, I'm not looking at this map. Where the fuck am I supposed to go? All right. That trip was so much. And this person trying to tell me that I need to donate to random black and brown people. I'm just being real. Like, I have my own problems. Like, I've been seeing this stuff my entire life, and I understand most of these charities to just be scams where they pay huge salaries to the executives that run it. So I just, in no way, have any real respect for this. Either, yeah, like, I mean, on the one hand, I don't want these people to be like, I don't want there to be people out there that are drinking mud water. On the other hand, I see it as something where it's like, that was a problem that was resolved in the year like 1100. Like it's kind of a them problem, and I don't have enough money to make any meaningful impact. I don't think the kind of people that you're advertising to do, you know, they always show these charity things to people who have like very slim incomes. They don't target executives, which are basically the only people who will ever have any real impact on that. I don't have executive style money, even if I could be like that executive that would. I gladly, if I had tons of money, put me in with a charity. I won't use charity. I won't fucking like I'll have exactly as much money as I have, and I don't really need any additional. I'm not somebody that's it's like having the money under management for a good cause is as good as owning it to me. Uh, is like better. Like once you own enough, like which for me would just be a homestead, I wouldn't really fucking care to. Anyways, um, at the same time, no, because we're never going to cleanly align or cooperate. We don't set up those kind of systems in the So let's go check out what's up over here. Bridge over frozen water. Bridge repairs. Okay. Alright, I have too many quests. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just really not into playing this game. I just want to talk, obviously. There's no main story of this. Which is nowhere. So, yeah, I mean, Coney 2012. What a fucking joke that was, right? Uh, I, of course, do not donate to such a thing, nor change any of my social media profiles or post about it at all. I saw it happen, and it happened really quick. It went from like, they raised their money, and then he was like on the street, like, whatever. He like ran around naked in the street. Whoever did that scam sounds like a huge fake psyop. Sounds fake as hell. It's like the idea that that was the guy that actually like did all the. It's like they did that as a way to like excuse the scam. It's like, oh yeah, he had a mental break. Sorry, no money. The guy went crazy in the street. Remember, he was naked or something. Yeah, sorry, we don't have the money anymore. So yeah, I could start doing call-ins on the stream. That's one way. Just set up a booking appointment for conversations that cost money. Charge a very small amount. I saw this thing. This guy it was a black guy. Uh, just matter of fact. By the way, this video by this small content creator talking about this guy who was making gasoline out of plastic, and it was a black dude in his like backyard who had no chemistry background or academic background really, and he was just like making dirty gasoline out of plastic bottles, which you can do, but it has a lot of like harmful byproducts that he's probably not properly handling. And dude's like getting donations to like start a gasoline business recycling plastic. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Like that's the kind of stuff you see in that's the kind of stuff you see in South Africa. Like that's the kind of stuff that Vice News would like show, you know, or not even South Africa, but like somewhere else, even more than South Africa, like northern. It'd be like in the Congo. It's like these people burn plastic to make gasoline. Uh, you have to be really desperate, and that dude's in the United States and is probably breaking some kind of code. Um, yeah, so that was an interesting video. What am I talking about that for again? I don't know. Interesting. We're going to look at Colin Flaherty here. That's what we were going to look up. Poor Colin Flaherty. I believe he is deceased. He was a bit of a. I mean, you could say like I wouldn't call him racist because he liked Thomas Sowell and he liked certain black people. If black people would agree with his politics, he would say he liked them. You know, his politics were basically understandable, which was just anti-black criminality. You know, like yeah, he's only really focusing on black criminality and egregious instances of it, but like is real. You know, it needs to be addressed, and there is a particular type of criminality that he was profiling that is not widely reported because it flies in the face of preferred social narratives. And so much so that they banned him. And he was a very early target of free speech. Jared Taylor and Colin Flaherty, I think, were two very unwarranted bans. I think that is some of the lamest behavior that a company could ever exhibit that claims in any way to support free speech. And I think it should be codified in law that they're not allowed to do that. I think that platforms that allow people to post things that can be viewed by others should have some regulations associated, which basically end up on, you must allow fair discoverability. And you must you must allow people to post at a very minimum. The idea that you can't create a repository and direct people towards it. And really, really codify legally that there is a distinction between being a provider of a communications platform and endorsing the communications that occur on your platform. It's like YouTube in no way, the idea that, oh, I just got an ad before this video for thing, and that's it's like, okay, maybe they should tweak their algorithm, but like, I don't know, man. You shouldn't even have ads at all. Ads are so silly. They work on certain types of people more than others. And it's very unfortunate. So let's see Colin Flaherty. Colin Flaherty calls. So the first thing we have is a hit piece on him.
And that is YouTuber is Colin Flaherty, who I don't know and probably will never meet. And I'm really irritated with him because Colin Flaherty is calling parenting child abuse, all in the name of his agenda to inform the world about black mob violence. When you are a parent, unfortunately, you have to deal with the hand that you're dealt, and you have to tell your children some unpleasant truths and.
I'm 8 years old. I'm unarmed and I have nothing that will hurt you.
Now, check this out. This told me.
Maybe because of my skin color.
I remember being.
See it like, Colin Flaherty got banned for criticizing that shitty acting. You know what I mean? It's like, on camera, let's have a conversation talking about, how we're discriminated against for being black. Although everything everywhere constantly is talking about how, like, we have to, like, have black inclusion and, black, blah, blah. Like, every single thing. Like, Black Lives Matter, yada, yada, yada. On and on and on. Endless signaling for inclusion of black people. We had the civil rights movement. A long time ago, we were at a better place in the 60s for race relations in some senses because of this focus from other people, this like overemphasis of race issues and things like this radical identitarianism, as opposed to a common group, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, like I said earlier. Earth, Wind, and Fire versus modern hyper individualized pandering for individual profit. Like, this is child abuse. I think so. Yeah, like, if, like, I don't know of, like, the truth. I think more than anything, it's not child abuse. It's the kid is in on the grift. You know what I mean? The kid gets it inherently. They just intuitively understand it without, expressly defining it, as being a grift. They just kind of get it. We do this and then we get reward. So yeah. For the most part, the only reason black people have some is like bad elements of the black community is why there's more incidences with police. And then for the most part, and then their behavior whenever they are like, they fuck up on stuff like licenses and like simple stuff like pull over right and have your stuff in order. Like that stuff is more, you can call it for whatever it is, but it's kind of their own problems. See, I hate how these mobs reset so easily. All right, so there's a critic of Colin Flaherty. Now let's actually watch Colin Flaherty.
Stupid is that? I mean, to get on camera, put yourself out there as being concerned, and then go commit a violent crime yourself.
Talk about not keeping a low profile, from sound bites to mugshots. Just hours after these Little Rock teens complained on TV about violent crime in their neighborhood, police say the two boys went out and committed one. Good evening. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Bob Foss.
And I'm Ashley Ketz. 16-year-old Gregory Smith and 15-year-old Brian Austin are charged now as adults with aggravated robbery after they allegedly carjacked a man at a gas station.
And police telling our Victoria Price that robbery happened not even 2 hours after the boys' anti-crime interviews aired right here on KARK.
I gotta stay away from these streets, and that's what I'm finna do.
16-year-old Gregory Smith sounded pretty convincing when he spoke with KARK Monday night about crime in a southwest Little Rock neighborhood.
It could be, you know what I'm saying, for pain.
His buddy, 15-year-old Brian Austin, did too, but a couple hours later,
They go commit an aggravated robbery. I mean, I couldn't believe that.
now both teens are charged with felonies. Police say just before midnight, Smith and Austin took a knife and carjacked a man at this Shell station on Geyer Springs Road. We're told the two didn't even bother to change out of the clothes they wore on TV that night.
How stupid is that? I mean, to get on camera, put yourself out there as being concerned, and then go commit a violent crime yourself.
Recognize these two boys?
Yeah, yes.
That's Luis, the carjacking victim.
De cuchillo ni de pistola, simplemente. He didn't know it was a knife or a gun, but they have inside their pocket.
With the help of a translator, Luis told us that Smith and Austin drove up next to him at the gas station, at first asking for money and then for his keys. He also lives in southwest Little Rock and says he's sick of seeing crime.
Pues yo como padre, I think the parents not do their job.
I was an Uber driver and I drove 1,200 trips and I, picked up black people. I didn't decline anybody really. If I ever declined anybody, it would be because I didn't want to do the trip. I didn't want to drive out to wherever it was at that point for whatever reason. So I'm half convinced I picked up Bubba Wallace because I picked up one guy who was asking questions about. He went back to a relatively nice hotel. I drove him down an exit, and then he asked something about like NASCAR. If I was like concerned, like if I knew anything about NASCAR. And like we had a conversation like the entire time. I really don't remember what we talked about or anything else really. I remember the hotel location, like what exit I took him to, and specifically him just asking, being a black guy who seemed like he was a little bit, sophisticated. He had a date and going back to his hotel and asking me about NASCAR and seemed to insinuate something. If he were Bubba Wallace, I'd be like, oh, fuck, yeah, that makes sense. I picked up Bubba Wallace. If I did or if I didn't, it's basically the same experience. So yeah, I don't know. But where I was going with that is I'm finding a polar bear in a basement. What the fuck? And Got a cub. When I was driving, there were a variety of crimes in the area, of course, and some of them, like right after I quit driving, like maybe I don't even know, it may have influenced my decision to quit. I don't even remember. But there was this one really bad crime where a neighborhood which I had been to several times, which had a lot, and I had even been inside one of the apartments and like talked to some people. And yeah, there were a lot of parties out there and a lot of people from out of state. So it was a community with a ton of people who grew up in like Pennsylvania or Connecticut or Delaware or some random like Ohio, just like a ton of kids like those who had parents that had some means that sent them to the college in the area. And yeah, there was somebody was picking up somebody from that area and they got carjacked basically at gunpoint, and they made them drive them to, it was a black guy, and he made him drive him to an ATM and get all their money and stuff like this. I don't even remember too much. I think maybe it was just a guy in a car that had I think it was a guy in a car that just abducted people from an apartment complex, basically. Maybe. Or he abducted somebody from their car as they were getting out of their car. I don't really know how it happened. It's been a long time since I've seen the news story. But the basic gist of it is the words were uttered, "We only rob white people." And like this person was like forced to go to their bank and withdraw stuff. And it happened to multiple people, I'm pretty sure, including like a young woman. So like some like 19-year-old woman that is like going to college is getting attacked on the basis of her race explicitly, in an area where she, chose to go, it's fucked up. And several years later, an opponent college played a game against them, a sports game, and some kid got beaten up in the parking lot for wearing the opposite team's colors. Like, just straight up, like, random group of people. Seriously, just like, they looked for somebody that they could target to beat up. They had to have been, like, there was no other real reason that you could construe. And it's just unbelievable that kind of stuff exists, and that you can get deemed inappropriate for addressing it and like calling it out, right? Like there's a certain element of crime which is excused because it doesn't fit with the narrative of like victimization of one group in particular for a subscribed set of reasons. They prescribe a certain cause to things such as white racism, whenever in reality we are the culture that essentially established this concept of like human rights, and that all these other philosophical like tenets which have given rise to the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Like, so, like, forget that. Like, all of the philosophers about, all the great philosophers have given us, the way to achieve the best of what is possible for the advancement for all is like ideally, right? So if there's any good thoughts out there, most of those philosophers are predominantly from European originations. Like, yeah, there's Eastern philosophy and stuff like that too, but that they take a different direction with how it progresses, right? Like, they're less humanistic. They don't have the Renaissance ethos in the same manner, they're industrious. They have a lot of their own cultural paradigms, but it's just completely different, you know. So to make white people the villain as a non-white person living in an area which was established by white people, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not good. There's something about Europe and these so-called like bad regions, you know. People always want to go there. They have the resources, and trying to maintain any purity of what makes that region like desirable. I don't know. The founding fathers, I'm pretty sure I heard this is something that people talked about. There's one prominent Indian scholar that was denied citizenship in early America on the basis of his ethnicity because they were like worried about his capacity to assimilate or something like this. And maybe it was more of like a political thing, because if he came over, he would be bringing influence, you know, like it would be an in way for like like the equivalent of Indian billionaires to try to compete. You know, who knows what was actually going on with that? I have no idea. And also, just realistically, would you recommend a human to go live, like an Indian in like 1789 that wanted to live in the United States would probably constantly feel like an outsider. You know what I mean? Like it would be like, it'd be really cool to be back in India right now, where everything is the same way as I know it, because this is not the modern era with instant communications. Yeah. All right, so that's just one. It's just one video of what was taken down. Let's look at the most popular. Yeah, that's kind of the truth.
Isn't it amazing how much we ignore the level of black violence and mayhem and chaos? And when some people are actually forced to confront what is going on, all they can do is just rotate through the level of excuses that they've heard on TV over the last week. I mean, every day it seems like one excuse is more popular than the other. I've done a million of them around here. That's why I don't have any use for excuses or causes or solutions. But I'm really convinced that there's so much going on. There's so many people are just used to. We just shrug our shoulders and say, well, that's just the way it is. Oh, really? Till it happens to you.
Gary Henderson sitting in his garage, his wife Lynn inside the house. Monday afternoon, both in the right place at the right time.
He was very scared and he was shaking.
The Hendersons calling police after 14-year-old Richard Arona sought them out for safety near 75th Avenue and Baseline, moments after a violent attack.
I saw someone like running towards me, and then I didn't think nothing of it because he turned into a neighborhood, and I think that he cut through the neighborhood and came like, and he exited out from the back, and then as I turn around, I see I just get kneed in the face.
Arona says he tried covering his head as he was knocked to the ground. The suspect demanding money, stealing around $80 cash.
And then I tried to get up, and then he kicked the back of my head, and I think I knocked out for 2 seconds, and I woke back up.
A neighbor's surveillance camera capturing these grainy images of the attacker. The teen says he'd been talking with him, a total stranger, just moments before, while heading home on a city bus. He got off early when the guy started acting strange.
If he did that to him, he'll do it again.
Arona's grandmother just thankful he wasn't hurt worse.
And I think that, I'll probably be taking him, picking him up, because I'm not comfortable with the bus right now.
We're told the suspect made other threats even after the assault, backing off only when Arona stumbled across a couple happy to help.
Here's a member of the deplorable choir giving a report on the streets of Washington, D.C. when she has an encounter with a lovely lady.
He knows that I feel like someone's coming next to me. Oh my God! What the hell? Why did you just hit me? Why did you just hit me? just got hit by that woman. Did you just see that? Yeah. I guess I'm going to ignore that. I don't know. Yeah, the woman just came up and smacked me. Okay. Wow, wonderful. Anyways, it was a good day for Flynn.
Police arrested 4 people they say shot a man in his University Park home and robbed him. Police say the suspects used the victim's credit cards. The victim tonight is still in critical condition from the attack. Fox 4's Richard Ray is at the Lou Sterrett Justice Center in Dallas. And Rich, that's where those suspects are being held tonight.
Heather, 4 suspects are in custody, but there are still a lot of unanswered questions in a city and a neighborhood where armed robbery is almost unheard of.
It doesn't happen in University Park. I was very concerned.
Just after midnight, December 5th, on McFarland Boulevard, just a block west of the SMU campus, neighbors called about shots fired. University Park police found a 40-year-old man just inside his front door, shot twice. He was rushed to
I really want
Presbyterian
to
Hospital in Dallas, where he remains
get my
in
inventory
critical
sorted.
condition.
Still in bad shape. Our detectives have not talked to him. So, we'll be very interested, to talk to him when he's able.
4 suspects are now in custody. 2 arrested December 12th at a motel in Trophy Club. 2 others picked up December 15th
Also,
at another motel in North Dallas.
Chocobo.
At least 3 of the suspects have prior arrests. Calvin Johnson's priors include...
Anybody else really good with their Welsh? Anybody? I don't almost don't even want to explain the origin of my character's name because it's like just go or the name of my chocobo. It's all Welsh. Cadwallon was a Welsh king. I have a little bit of Welsh ancestry, and apparently there's some family relation to a last name of Cadwallader at some point, which has absolutely very little bearing to anything, but could conceivably. I have the article already up, so I suppose I'll just make that screen bigger for a second here. And talk about this for a second. So he is a king, as you can see. Cadwallader ap Cadwallon. I was thinking I would maybe see the entire lineage as I had it on another screen previous, but okay. Yeah, he's around during the War of the Roses. It's like the origin of the Red Dragon is part of the legend of it. So I use that as my name. And that is why I used it as my name. You can see mentioned in here, was it Taliesin? Was that one very popular British? That's what it's. Taliesin and Ebedhel. He's named after. Taliesin is like the name of. I forget what it is. Welsh Britannic. I'm hoping that if I read enough, I'll see it, but I don't know what I'm trying to reference. I don't know how to speak it. There's some series of like stories, and it was like kind of like the Brothers Grimm, but not the Brothers Grimm. He was like a prolific author or a pen name, like a group of authors, I think is how a lot of this. Joffrey, well, that's right, I think. Regime. That's what I was referencing. And I don't remember what the backstory on Taliesin's name is. I don't know. Sub-Roman Welsh poet. Yeah, and what am I but a bard here as well, as you can see. Yeah, there's kind of a what the hell is a bard element of being a bard. It's one of those classes that I always looked at as kind of weirdly, nebulously defined. So what? So it's like Dancer in Final Fantasy, or not Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, and I suppose Final Fantasy as well. You have Dancer as part of this. Isn't that a class? Like no joke. Yeah, Dancer. Um, are we higher or are we Dancer? Uh, Machinist. And playing card games, you know, versus on the topic of like racial based things. Like, I don't know. I've had all kinds of experiences with different groups. I understand, but like also like this stuff.
Multiple theft charges, larceny, and burglary.
It's just like unbelievable. So like, if I saw this dude at a Yu-Gi-Oh local, and he's just playing a card game, I could imagine myself being friends with this guy. You know, that's what's kind of like fucked up is like, but also like probably not. He probably wouldn't be at a Yu-Gi-Oh local. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to say. But like somebody at a Yu-Gi-Oh local might look like him, but this guy in particular with this behavioral profile probably wouldn't be at a Yu-Gi-Oh local. Anyways, maybe you never know. Yes, why I don't. Card games are a strange thing to socialize over, and just socializing in a civilization where everybody is individualistic and there's very like poorly defined groupings for a large segment of the population.
Larceny and burglary. Maria Alexander, another with multiple theft charges. All captured, police say, largely because they used credit cards from the victim's stolen wallet.
Fast food restaurants to get gas.
During the campaign, I remember, and their actions, like in these videos, have been screaming at white people for a long time. We're not listening. We're not paying attention. We're pretending they're saying something else. And the message that we get on these videos is exactly the same that we get on MSNBC, CNN, and NPR minute by minute every day.
Somebody has to say it, you know. Like he was taking these clips from local news stations that weren't getting much circulation and amplifying them. Like in some ways you could say it's inflaming racial tensions or something, but it's really just broadcasting the reality of it. You know, like well, he would always have like a morality tale, you know, like gotta pay attention to it. Like there really is no excuse. Like you wouldn't want to live in these areas at a minimum, you know. It's just the truth of it.
Cautionary tale
Happens a lot. It's like by the numbers, it's like thousands of people.
Going to doctor appointments almost daily.
Gonna happen. Yeah.
They could have neither anticipated domestic violence. And let's not forget what Melissa.
Like, order time. Yeah. Yeah, this is my point too. It's like there is very minimal amounts of actual like true white racism which affects people in negative manners to the extent which is happening today. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, police aside, I don't know. And then the police, it's like a whole different issue. They're terrible for everybody. Like, whenever they're bad, I don't even know. You see these Western Virginia. Yeah, shouting is obnoxious, but then some people also have like a very boisterous voice. And you just kind of want to shout because that's what you fucking do when you have a voice. It's like being super sterile and placid and enforcing that rigidly across civilization is also really fucking annoying. And nobody gives a fuck anyways. People talking about shouting. I mean, like, slash yell. But also, it's not even, you don't even do it like that in this game.
Time you hear the national media trying to convince you of some phony baloney story of white racism against helpless black people or old Indian dudes, tell them you just want to see the video, the whole video. I mean, we've already seen the videos from Washington, D.C. What about this video from this mall down in Texas? So a bunch of lovely ladies get together. Somebody's credit card gets declined, debit card gets declined. They start attacking, assaulting, and destroying property in the mall. Then what happens? This happens. Everybody's phone is out. Dozens and dozens of people have video records of what just happened. That's our standard. That's our bar from now on. Every time Sean King tweets out some fairy tale, where's the video, Sean?
Please, sir. I want some more.
Every time some reporter concocts another fantasy of white racism, where's the video? We've got tons of video here. That's what we do here. We show new videos of new examples of black and white hostility. And I guarantee you one thing. Damn, that makes the black kids angry.
I mean, legitimately, if you looked at his video archive and you like counted out like how many different and you counted out how many videos he actually made and how many incidences of bad things that he documented, you know, we're talking like thousands of videos, like probably like 2,000 plus videos, I don't know, over his career. And he didn't really you don't see 2,000 videos on this channel. He got kicked off and silenced, and this is kind of what you get as the remainder. Very few people followed him over to a second site whenever he got kicked off of YouTube.
It's a black victim.
She says the day she married her husband, Gary Medlin, in 2015 was the best day of her life.
He's the love them all up, so.
I feel like switching class.
We made for each other.
It was nearly a
I
month
got
ago that
ruled.
police say this man, Philip Lee Lewis, held up the A&B Quick Stop on US 25 East. Gary Medlin was inside the store and was fatally shot, making a run for the door.
He was just trying to get away. Why did I have to come to this? I just don't understand.
Also, I got Dark
Federal
Knight.
agents caught up with Lewis in Flint, Michigan, following a 3-week manhunt. Why the Michigan native was in southeastern Kentucky in the first place remains
Alright, so I
unclear.
don't have enough
It gives me
space.
a sense of
Where
relief
was
to
some of
know
this
that
guy?
he's not still on the run. But to me, there's just no amount of justice that'll be enough.
It's a painful and confusing time for Medlin's 2 boys, 2-year-old Jackson and 8-year-old
No.
Bentley, left to grow up without their father.
He'll miss the first day of school, graduation.
Oh, not like that. Isn't there a way to manage your inventory? Don't you get...
There's just so much he's gonna miss out on, and this is so not fair.
Mindy Medlin says
Like
her
saddlebag
husband
on the
worked hard to
chocobo.
take care of his family and was an innocent man caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He was a one-of-a-kind person. There won't ever be another.
The hoax of black victimization is the greatest lie of our lifetime.
Please, sir. I want some more.
I'm sorry this young lady had to lose her husband in order to prove it once again. It'll happen again tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. But just keep thinking of Jussie Smollett, because Jussie won't make the black kids angry.
How did it work that time but not the other? Okay, whatever. Reposet. It's just what I have to talk about right now. Your internet traffic. Yeah, I know. So.
Out in a non-random way, then we're distorting it. I'm giving you a distorted picture of all this black violence out there. And Colin, you just don't concentrate on the white on black violence. All right. Send it to me. But until then, watch this.
The Walgreens and
Been a while since maybe I should not alter anything in this.
Blocking the entrance. Sky 5 over the scene shortly after Stephen Denning. Investigators say opened fire Thursday morning, hitting 2 pharmacy workers, Sarah Wright and Brandon Gordon. Wright is seen being rushed to the hospital. 911 calls take us inside the chaotic scene. Now, by law, investigators distorted the voices.
Increases both black and white. You have to balance black and white. Black men are by 6.
Hear people screaming, call 911. Family members tell WRAL Denning had a concealed carry permit and had some type of issue with his medication. His brother John Denning, who declined our on-camera interview, did tell us, quote, "I am shocked. I couldn't believe it. This is out of character for him." One of the shooting victims managed to call 911 while Denning was still in the building.
Tell me exactly what happened.
A customer shot me in the pharmacy.
Okay, is the customer still there?
Send someone. Yes. Please someone immediately.
Wake County deputies caught up with Denning outside a nearby Golden Corral restaurant. A deputy who responded to the scene shot Denning. Sky 5 also over the scene as Denning is transported to the hospital.
The Volusia County Sheriff's Office says the shooting in Oak Hill Sunday morning was not a random act.
So
and they are
white line
actively
was
looking
6.
for the suspect. Here's what I've learned tonight. Deputies say around 1 o'clock Sunday morning, 4 juveniles showed up uninvited to a home on East Church Street in Oak Hill. That's where 47-year-old Joel Tatro was hosting a party for his high school children. The 4 juveniles were told to leave, but one of them refused. At that point, a confrontation went down and shots were fired at the victim. He was struck in the neck by a bullet and the juveniles took off. Tatro was flown to Halifax Medical Center in critical condition. Deputies say he is still critical but stable.
We see a lot of stories like this on college campuses. A couple of college kids having a party, maybe a fraternity.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Fella walks by, goes, "Hey, my brothers, do you mind if I come in and get some free beer and free food since it's a party and I'm invited because I'm black and I'm entitled to be invited to every single party on this campus?" The answer is no. We've done lots of stories about one fella going to get 10, 15 more fellas, and all hell breaks out loose, and there's no more party. So if you're having a party or you own a drugstore, do whatever you want to do there. But if somebody comes in and wants better service, or if somebody comes to your party and wants to have lots of free food and all that kind of cool stuff at your party, if they're black, you pretty much have to go along with it or suffer the consequences of making the black kids angry.
Yep. And Comp already did now. So I'm trying to... Man, this is actually kind of a complicated class, because the black and white mana 120 has a cast time. So does every spell have like an AoE variant? I think that is the case. Okay. Right, displacement. Spells cast immediately. So let's do 5 and ship 5. And that. Engagement. Yeah, this one backsteps you, and then the other one forward steps you. Engagement, disengagement. This rushes you. So I'm gonna have this. Backstep. How much is worth her? Faint. 7 and 6. Alright, so I think we're good to go. For the most part. Maybe 1 or 2 more things. Alright. So let's at least do this poll here. This is combo action, right? Alright, weird. All right. 10 to 21. Learning this now for the second time. Setting up the bars differently than I would have previously. And all right, so I'm going to talk about GameStop now. Fuck all this race stuff. I don't really like the focus on race, but you know, one of the aspects of applying for jobs is they have a questionnaire that you have to fill out as many times as you have to apply to jobs. Every single time, that includes questions about your ethnicity. I mean, there seems to be such an emphasis on it for something which is supposed to be de-emphasized. Not backspace. It's so funny. I think the first time I put it on, it generates gear for me or something. I don't know. Sure. Steel Elmo. The funniest fucking name for anything. We have two of these. This one is died. Sells for 41 gold. Where are vendors? Like, what can I do to vend? I have to go like really somewhere else. I don't really need to change classes either. I don't know. I'm probably gonna get off of here. It's been about 2 hours now, right? So, all right. Did that consume the instacast? It did. Good to know. Whenever you're supposed to make them equal. Yeah. Increases white mana by 5 while Veristone Ready is active. Okay. Do something like that. We're just like move these up. It's another option. You can only cast it when very stone ready, but it's not instant. Right, so we just did the improved. So we were at Equa. Whenever you are at equal black and white, you get way more damage and your abilities transform. So this is more complicated than many other classes. We should have our bars, but I'm probably not going to continue to play it. Probably wait until I push the others. Focus on that. Doing this through here. Okay, I can get back here pretty easily, right? Or should I do this one mission and then stop? So I've at least done something in this play session other than talk about race. I just hate how the United States, you can't feel like you can trust anybody or like any group of random people. I just see all this stuff on the news and I think bad things in general about. As you know, I've streamed here. If you're watching this video, which nobody is, I'm gonna have to like remake a way to market myself because this is never going to get anywhere. There are just so many ghettos in the United States that, you know, and if you've ever had the experience as like a white person of, like I don't know, like I had, you know, people try to get free stuff from me. You know, I've had people like, I don't know, man. You just have like certain weird experiences where people are trying to like I would go to like this guy tried to get me to buy him a cookout tray one time. It was like very late in the evening. Random drunk African American man is like being very like pushy about, and just like walks up to me while I'm getting food somewhere else, not even at cookout. It's like he wants me to like drive him down to go and buy him a tray of food. I'm just like, no. It's like, what? You have these kind of experiences, you're So I was picking up hibachi at probably like 2:40 a.m. or something like that. It's like last call. Chinese hiring Chinese. Hiring preferences. And Asians. Yeah, it affects your dating life too, like for sure. And the idea that people can't have like preferences in that way is like absurd, right? So white women are definitely fetishized, especially by black men, you know, like and a lot of these crimes, it's like that's what it's about. Like everybody's too stupid to understand kind of the Okay, so I completed that. I want to break out my samurai kit real quick. Maybe what I could do next time is go back and see what it's like to level one of these other classes up to 50. Or at least like get all my bars on my level 30s rather, is what I mean. Get every class operational and manage my inventory. I won't be ninja. Speaking of racism, since this is just like the world's most racist stream of the day, it's not racist. None of this is racist. This is just talking about racial topics openly and honestly. You know, to summarize, it's I believe in the bell curve and I notice social trends, and I think that, you know, talking about racial stereotyping is relevant, and you know, issues of preservation of original cultures will become more relevant because, you know, all this integration, my kind of like, okay, so we have a great integration, and there's, you know, America's a cultural melting pot, you know. Like, I know the difference between my integrated Indian friends and my non-integrated Indian friends that I've encountered and spoken with. You know what I mean? Like, Amish, as I would call him Amish, Amish. The guy I played cards with, and that when I was in college for a moment, he was a high school senior, and his friend group, none of them drove, so I drove them to a regional I went to. I was playing at the time, and yeah, he was Americanized 100%. His family probably spoke with an Indian accent, and they owned a gas station, but he was born in the United States, and he was like more, you know, he was as American as anybody else, right? Like, but, and yeah, I have nothing but, you know, positive sentimentality towards the dude. It was a fun time to hang out with him and his group of people at that time, like for that short little while. And yeah, but like at the same time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are all these people that are coming over from various other cultures, and there's a certain end to that. Like, it meets its own end. Like there's like if it were to stay like that, it would have to be such the case that there are foreigners from these places that want to go to the places these people are coming from in equal numbers. You see what I'm saying? Right? It'd be one thing if, oh, I'm gonna die, I'm level 30. Run, chicken, run. My chocobo is literally named Chicken in Welsh. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just teleport out of here. And then next time I know that this is where I go to complete this. Or should I just log out here? I don't fucking know. I don't care. This is grandfather's belongings. This is some other side quest. Yeah. Well, I believe in the bell curve, and I notice things. You know, I'm not stupid enough to not notice. Imagine best train, bald, and bankrupt backpacker. And backpacker Ben. I train surfed in Bangladesh. Yeah. This place is very unlike the United States, and there are more people that want to come to the United States than want to go there, you know. So some element of a concept of, you know, return to your homeland and improve the conditions there with the income that you generate in the foreign area. But then, like, the foreign area wants capture of these people and conversion into citizens of their country, so there's like no return. They want the capital to stay local now that they're in the new host nation. They don't want it returning to the previous, right? Like, in general, but also, like, not really. I don't think we'll miss it. It's like, I don't know, man. That's what it's like to talk with somebody who has a really bad Indian accent and microphone, and like, you know, they give out laptops at these companies for these like people to like every communications. You'll see these people in like high rises. You'll see like these C-suite executive type people, and then they'll have like the shittiest headset in the world. They'll have that like $20 headset that you get at Walmart, and they're just like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it is about headsets and people, but like most headsets are garbage. Get headphones.
Okay, box counter.
So that's like I'm pretty sure that's a Shure. It looks like a Shure, like a, if he just got up off the microphone a little bit, you know.
Okay. He doesn't. Let's go. Take me to the box counter. Take me to the box counter.
You know, it's like if even if he had an Indian like if he had an accent, but like the way he's speaking and his mannerisms, I don't know.
We want local train. We want local train. We really want to experience local train. No, we want local train. We want local train. Please give us tickets on local train. Okay, box counter. Okay. He doesn't. Let's go. Take me to the box counter. Take me to the box counter. Box counter. Oh, hello. 2 tickets on local train. 2 tickets. 2 tickets. Local train. Can you sell me 2 tickets, please?
I mean, like, for real, bro. Like,
No, I want 2 tickets from you. 2 tickets. Local train. Local train. Just for travel. Don't know. Fuck. Yeah? Okay. Oh, guys, I was so scared when I got on. Oh, we're here. Boys, high five. Come on, come on. Yes. Hey, hey, be careful. Be careful. Hey. So this is how you travel on a train in Bangladesh. Some people go inside. Yeah, Bangladesh. Some people go inside the train. Other people go outside the train. The cool people go on the roof. The boring people go inside. Right? Right. Let's do it. Yes, boys. Nice. How many times have you ridden on the train roof? How many times? Every day? Every day. No? Sometimes. Whoa! Fuck! Oh my God! Hold on! Oh shit! What the? This guy's crazy! What the hell is? Whoa! Careful, mate! Careful! He doesn't care! Oh my God! What the hell? Some people just don't care. They just do whatever they want to do. So not every day. And let me ask you, why do you come on the roof?
this should be about the right area.
Very hot. Very hot. Very. Okay, very hot. So inside it's uncomfortable. You saw before on the platform, there's too many people. It's really hot and crowded. But up here, wow. Train surfing. Hey, be careful. Oh my God, you be careful. Oh shit. Oh, you be careful, mate.
Or 15.
Okay. Bodyguard. Bodyguard. I had the bodyguard. This is the guy who helped me up, and these 2 guys then pulled me up. And here we are. Wow, we're crossing the bridge. Jamuna River. Okay. India this way. Okay. So the branch line is taking the trains that go to India, Calcutta, and we're going around. Where are we going? What town are we going to? Roshindi. We're going to a place called Jauturam and Roshindi. I don't know. We'll jump off after half an hour, maybe. Just we've experienced it. But wow, how interesting. Having fun? Having fun, bodyguard? Enjoying? Good, enjoying. Bodyguard's enjoying. Main thing. Look after me. Boys, watch out! Watch out! Get down! Whoa! Holy shit! Whoa! Oh, you got some. Man's got the lead. Bodyguard's fearless. Bodyguard isn't afraid. You be careful. You be careful. Woo. So I don't know where Ben is. I don't know if he went inside the train or if he just left. I invited him to come up here, but
I think he just thought it was a bit too dodgy, and I don't blame him, because it probably is quite dodgy, to be honest. Because there's nothing to hold on to apart from this. So, yeah.
I think this bar is somehow tethered not to, like, I don't even know. The bars are just fucked. I think this is like cross-class. I don't want it to be, and I don't really know how to change it.
Well, we're almost at our station. We've been on the roof about an hour, and about 5 minutes we come into the station where these guys are getting off, and I'll probably get off too, depending on where Ben is. If Ben wants to come up, then I suppose I'll stay up. Let's see what happens. Okay. Woo. That was a lot of fun. Ben! Ben, come on up, mate.
Hey, Ben!
We've discovered Ben. Ben's been on the train all the time. Fuck, but I've got sunburn on my head. I don't know if I want to go any further. Wow. We're here, boys. Okay, let's go. Yeah? Okay. Woo. Whoa. Whoa. Cheers, boys. Whoa. Coming down, boys. Whoa. Drop the rubbish bag. Yeah. Oh. Yes, exactly. Wow, we made it. Oh, bodyguard made it, thank God. Thank you, bodyguard. Oh, that was an awesome little train ride. I've never ridden on top of a train before, and obviously in Bangladesh. Boys, nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for sharing the adventure with me. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. Goodbye. Nice to meet you, my brother. Take care. Well, that was it then. Now we just got to try and get back to Dakar somehow. But that's the way you do it. See you later, guys. Stay safe. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Okay. Okay. Oh, crikey. What you got here? What is this? What is this? Candy floss? A tower of candy floss. 10. Give me 10. 10. Give me 10. Give me 10. 10. 10 piece. 10 piece. Give me.
10 piece.
Yes, give me 10 pieces. Ek. Do. Teen. Teen.
I don't know.
4. Char. Ah, lerkis. You want? Six. You're welcome. 6. 7. 8. 9. Who wants the 10th one?
Can I give you this most insane free gift ever? Essentially what I put together here is not only a software that will make your YouTube videos for you by giving you tons of great video ideas, it'll write your scripts for you, it'll even optimize your videos completely for you, but I'm also even going to be giving you courses on exactly how to do all this, how I'm running completely faceless channels that have gotten me millions of subscribers, and how I'm using AI to do that. I'm going to straight up show you it for free on this most insane free gift ever. All you have to do is say maybe. You don't have to commit to anything, just click on this ad and start your completely free trial to TubeMagic, which is my YouTube software, which will do all those awesome things that I just mentioned. But I'm also going to be throwing in completely free courses for you, a free community where we'll answer all your questions, and basically just try to go overboard, giving you as much value as we possibly can. My name is Matt Parr, by the way. I've been running YouTube channels here for the past 10 years on YouTube. I've run tons of different faceless channels that have gotten me all those play buttons back there. And I also even run a personal channel, Make Money Matt, on YouTube, which is proof that these tactics work for all types of channels. So if you're at all interested in doing this and you want to get started with this most insane free gift ever and get started on your completely free trial that you don't have to commit to anything, and I believe you'll love it so much that you'll love to stay on as well, all you have to do is just click this ad, say maybe, by joining the completely free trial and joining me on this most insane free gift ever. My name is Matt Parr. I can't wait to see you on the inside. All you have to do is say maybe, and hopefully I will see you there.
Say your worst fears were realized. What is the worst thing that could happen?
Cooldown on hidden is
10.
kind of long in this game.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Wow, look, this is what happens. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Wow. They're literally fans. Yes, harder, harder, harder. More, more, more. Yes, thank you. Ah, yes, thank you. Okay. Subtiga, subtiga, subtiga. Wow. We're having a bit of a, we're causing a bit of a disturbance on the platform. We've caused an argument. We're quite the attraction, me and Ben. I think they're Backpacker Ben subscribers. I've been asked the same question 30 times today. What's your country? Everyone asks that question. We've tried the roof, now we can try inside a train. Let's see what a Bangladeshi train is like inside. Probably very crowded. Hello, sir. I'm with you. Oh, we've made it. Wow.
Hello.
What a place.
What is this?
Wow. Follow you? I'm following you. Let's go. Woo. Oh my God. A Bangladeshi train.
No seat.
No seating.
No seat.
No
We have a
seating.
stand.
Okay, we're standing.
This is the door behind.
But what's the other option?
Side door.
Side door? Let's go side door? Let's go side door. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Want to give it?
No, thank you. See how friendly the people are in this country? Everyone wanted this seat, but it's 45 minutes. Ben's on the floor. Everyone wanted this seat, but it's 45 minutes. And they all said, please, you sit down. I feel bad for taking it. I'll sit for 10 minutes, we'll take turns. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
No.
Yes, come on.
That's 40 minutes and around
We'll
one
take
equals
turns.
station.
We'll take turns. 12.
20.
No, how old is the boy?
This girl is 7 years.
7 years old, and you're working on the train?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Businessman. Businessman, young businessman. Wow. 7 years old. When I was 7 years old, what was I doing? Just, I don't know.
So many children are
Nothing.
working for in
Yeah, but here when you're 7 years old, you have to come on a train and walk up and down this hot carriage selling. A very, very difficult life for many people, unfortunately, here in Bangladesh. We're so lucky in England and in the West where we live. This is just a completely different way of living here. This man's walking up the train, he's not even holding his bottles, they're just balancing on his head. Wow, that is skill. Oh my God. That is a real skill. Cool. Hey. Bodyguard, thank you for everything. You looked after me on the roof. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Wow.
This
Yeah. Back where it all started, at the railway station in Dhaka.
Yes.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Can I take a selfie with you?
Yes, you can take a selfie with me. Over here? Okay, bodyguard. Well, that really is the end of the day's adventure and the Bangladesh adventure. Nothing more to do in this country. We've done everything. See you next time, maybe, in some other country, maybe. Let's see what happens. Bye-bye from Dhaka, Bangladesh.
I see. Yeah, some of these are like cross.
On your side.
I don't even know.
Once available to the few are now accessible to the many. Credit One Bank. Get cashback rewards and live large. Switch to
Credit
Chrome
One
to
Bank.
protect yourself from
It's like a fake bank. It's like a fake Capital One. Credit One. We don't have FDIC insurance. I wouldn't worry about it. That would be their tagline. I think it would go over well.
$3 million from their NFT. What did they do with all that money?
I should apply.
We unveiled their scam and failed promises. A few days ago, John Shahidi responded with a plan of action for the victims. What was once seen as a potential massive project has turned into an expensive joke for those who bought in. Even some of their biggest supporters have acknowledged publicly that they were scammed. The project's problems gained a lot of attention after numerous YouTubers spoke about it. I'd like to think we played a part in them finally responding. Their response is weird though. Half decent, half downright insulting. Their fans were promised the world before purchasing the NFT. Over 2 years later, and the team has finally given an update. What's their solution? Let's explore. NFTs were the latest get-rich-quick scheme on social media. A couple years later, we can now properly evaluate how much of a scam the industry was. It was hard to actually find a legitimate NFT project. In January 2022, looking to capitalize on the craze, the Nelk Boys offered their Metacard NFT for the mint price of 0.75 ETH, roughly $2,300 at the time. However, with the early demand skyrocketing, many holders bought in at much higher prices in the range of $4,000, with one guy spending over $8,000.
See, if you actually listen to what I say, like I have a background in this stuff, but like I wasn't so stupid as to be taken by these types of scams or anything like that. I was very aware. It's like I was, you know, yeah, my involvement in cryptocurrency has been completely different to these influencer scams, and really just feels like a very personal experience that can't really easily be translated. And a lot of people have negative stereotypes. And it's like the whole time I'm aware of all the negative aspects of this stuff. I'm not stupid. I just know that like it's going to exist anyways, you know. And I really don't even want to participate in it so much as like, you know, just kind of forces level sync to it. No level sync. Alright. Yeah, I can fly too. Where am I trying to go? You can't fly in the new areas though. Newer. They're definitely not new. What's out this way? Where is a level appropriate area? Okay, Camp Dragon Hunt. So. This is where you get a dragon, right? I should probably just log out. There's nothing worth being in this game for. It's a little bit high level. I think south of here. right. Where's it? Blackshot. That's like northern Blackshot. Wouldn't this be about the right level? Or doesn't even show the levels. I could just Google what level zone to go to for 30. Or I could just go kick around a soccer ball and then sleeve some cards and some other stuff. Go play cards tomorrow. I'll see who's even there. I don't know. I just don't really so much look forward to the activity. Again. I don't know. All right, what levels? Like fuck Ethereum and all these dumb scams that come out.
Buying an NFT, they essentially raised $23 million in a single day. That's not supposed to be profit because there were benefits attached to those who bought an NFT. There was also the promise, or at the very least expectation, that the NFT would hold its value or even increase in value over time. Watch my initial video if you want the full picture, but needless to say, Nelt contributed very little to their community after the mint. Their Instagram account has posted many benefits given to holders, but it's easy to forget that there are 10,000 NFTs owned by about 8,000 different people initially. While some have been provided a unique experience as a benefit of being a holder, we're still referring to a minuscule fraction of the holders. Philion made a video covering the story. Kavos made a video covering the story. And my video exposing the story has nearly hit 300,000 views. Before we unveil the ultimatum given to the holders, I'll show John's message to the group after my video was released.
Shopping online comes with digital threats, so turn on NordVPN. Steer clear of phishing websites and encrypt your online traffic. Get the deal now.
Some things that YouTube guy left out. I feel offended because my nickname is White Boy Spencer. I also want to point out that the communication to the members in the Discord was really poor, but within 3 hours he had a detailed message about the YouTube guy's video. He failed to mention the full send Alien Friends free mint. I'm not sure about all the details with this other NFT, but my opinion is still pretty much the same. They're worthless. There is no value. Someone may be willing to pay something for it, but that just means you're hoping to find a bigger idiot than you are. According to the OpenSea account, this NFT project has 1,000 items. This chart indicates only 647 unique holders of this NFT. There are 10,000 Metacard NFTs and only 1,000 Alien Friends NFTs, so the math isn't mathing. The utility of these NFTs is incredible. Think of how cool you must look to open up your OpenSea account at a party and show off your ownership of these JPEGs. Easily worth the price if you ask me. The Metacard event with Snoop was 800 holders, not 300. The $23 million budget was apparently too small to get someone relevant or put on an event people would actually enjoy. Also, the holders are global, so one event means most won't be close enough to attend or have the ability to fly in. Despite the offer presented to the Metacard holders, something still doesn't smell right. The best way to ensure you smell right is by taking advantage of a subscription service like Scentbird. Not only are they supporting my channel, they're also helping me upgrade my fragrance game. I was pleasantly surprised at how easy their process was to find a fragrance that I wanted. This month I received Aqua de Santos by House of Beau, Continuum by Tui, and Amore Cafe by Mancera Paris. My personal favorite is definitely the Amore Cafe by Mancera Paris. I have an ice cream addiction and it legit smells like vanilla ice cream, so fellas out there, if your girl's into vanilla, she's gonna be all over you. What's really cool is Scentbird provides notes on what scent is found in each fragrance, allowing you to easily select other fragrances that match your style and preference. I began using Scentbird a few months ago and have enjoyed all of my new colognes. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service with a mission to empower everyone to learn about fragrance and its uplifting effect on your style and vibe. For just $17 a month, you can choose a new designer fragrance to try every month before committing to a full-size bottle. What's great about their service is the product they send will last you at least 30 days. Click my link in the description below to upgrade your fragrance game. Take advantage of 55% off your first month. That's just over $8 if you use the coupon code SPENCER55 at checkout. Start smelling amazing today. Final number was not over $20 million since everyone held on to their ETH or bought NFTs like the Bored Apes and everything crashed. That's not how this works, John. 10,000 NFTs with a mint of around $2,300 equals $23 million. Whether you made the poor decision of buying other NFTs or holding on to ETH is irrelevant. Their OpenSea indicates the creator keeps 10% earnings. As I've been told, NFT creators keep that 10% on all future sales, so my $23 million number isn't including all of the money generated from sales. Their OpenSea account indicates 17,809 total volume of ETH. If you take the average price of ETH over the lifetime of the NFT, they're somewhere in the ballpark of $3.6 million in royalties. Calling NFTs the greatest scam influencers ever pulled would be an understatement. As Nelk promotes all the benefits allegedly given to the holders, keep in mind that the $3.6 million in royalties is more than all the money they've spent on their holders thus far. I'm sure he missed out on more about meetups and other giveaways, but too many for me to keep track, so not gonna count. If you hand me $23 million plus $3.5 million in royalties and I give away $1 million, that doesn't make me a saint, nor does it dissolve my liability for operating a scam. Also, why not just list a few of them to make a point? Maybe because they don't exist? What he is not wrong about is, I do like to give credit where people admit mistakes, so props to John for posting this. Gyms and lounges were promised but are not happening. Anybody with an ounce of business knowledge knew that gyms and lounges were impossible. You can't run a business without income. The capital will dry up faster than the .com startups. So were they that dumb, or did they know the gyms and lounges were never coming from the beginning? Dealing with legal has been tough but is being worked out. That's because your legal team probably didn't approve of this in the first place. Let's see what the SEC says about NFTs. In the first video, I highlighted how Impact Theory was hit with a massive fine and told to shut down their NFT because it was considered a security. SEC charges creator of Stoner Cat's web series for unregistered offerings of NFTs. According to the SEC order on July 27, 2021, SC2 offered and sold to investors more than 10,000 NFTs for approximately $800 each, selling out in 35 minutes. $8 million raised for their venture, but the SEC said no, no, no. Here, the SEC's order finds that Stoner Cats marketed its knowledge of crypto projects, touted that the price of their NFTs could increase, and took other steps that led investors to believe they would profit from selling the NFTs in the secondary market. Let's see if the Nelk Boys did something similar. With how the SEC ruled on those two projects, we can assume they would rule similarly on the Metacard project. So John and the boys had to pivot in order to avoid penalties and fines. Here's their ultimatum. This portal message states that Bored Jerky was released on April 20, 2024, and that today it is our distinct pleasure to announce the exclusive Metacard holder and Bored Jerky program. Nelk had been posting about Bored Jerky on social media and had mentioned the product a few times on popular podcasts. By all accounts, it seems to be a hit with their fans. We are excited to announce that we have reserved 40% of Bored Jerky as a company for your benefit. This 40% is reserved only for Metacard holders and represents our belief in this community. This may seem like a huge benefit, but I'll break it down further in a minute. They label it as phantom stock, giving select people many of the benefits of stock ownership without actually giving them company stock. In their official phantom stock agreement sent to the holders, there is a vesting requirement. This is my absolute favorite part of this entire NFT scam. For those who may not know what vesting means, it's essentially the prerequisite for earning your equity. Vests in full upon the closing date, but only if, prior to the closing date, participant has referred 3 unique customers to Bored Jerky LLC using participant's personal affiliate link. You have to sell Bored Jerky to 3 unique people before you can earn your equity, so you paid them $2,300 for the scam NFT, or much higher in some cases, and now you have to refer more people to their products before you get your equity. I'm at a loss for how brilliantly hilarious this scheme is. They somehow found a way to create a new scam in response to their original scam. Bravo, future scammers take notes. They claim the base value of a phantom stock is worth a penny. Here's why I'm skeptical of this payout being lucrative for the holders. Let's assume Bored Jerky becomes a massive consumer packaged goods company like Nut Pods and can sell for over $100 million in 5 years. No guys, Nut Pods is not a private place to jerk your meat, it's a plant-based coffee creamer. I think it's possible, but let's assume it happens despite there being a scenario where it doesn't. A $100 million sale means $40 million to the holders. Amazing, right? Well, not exactly, because there are 10,000 NFTs. Each NFT would theoretically earn about $4,000, which is magically around the same price that many people paid for their NFT. Not to mention, if they're forcing their NFT holders to affiliate market for the Board Jerky product, there's a chance that the company's sales figures are much worse than we know. Immediate revenue share through an exclusive Board Jerky affiliate program. Almost no one will make money doing this because they don't have an audience, but it looks good on this benefits page. And what's better than having a meetup in your living room pitching your friends and family on joining an affiliate program for beef jerky with an NFT on the packaging? This is one step shy of those old school Tupperware MLMs moms did in the 90s. I've also been told there's an affiliate program for merch and they're 2 months late on payments, so consider me skeptical. Semi-annual updates and presentations directly from the management team. The communication has been so poor with the Full Send leadership team that they consider presentations and 2 updates a year as a benefit. That should be the bare minimum after spending thousands on a stupid JPEG. Also, the only reason they even bothered to update their holders was because I made the video exposing them. Speaking of stupid, this is easily the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Worse than having a tattoo of your ex-girlfriend's name. Surprisingly, this is not a prank. This is a video of one of their holders tattooing the Metacard NFT on his arm. Do you think he'll get made fun of more for buying the NFT or for the tattoo? At this point, I can't tell which was a worse decision. He claims to have paid $2,000 for the Metacard and $1,000 for the tattoo. If you ever wondered who the people buying these NFTs were and who fall for influencer-driven scams, look no further. Their only success in life might be winning a Darwin Award. When asked about paying $1,000 for a tattoo, the guy responded, "Yes, he did an amazing job. I also owe him some money." The next guy said, "It's like all you know how to do is get ripped off." The reason why I'm not sold on the phantom stock idea is because A, the liquidity event may never come, or B, you may have to wait 5+ years for the sale, and C, how much of the pie do you really have? I do think John and the team have shown enough effort in their brands and products to believe they will pay out the holders in the event they sell Board Jerky, but I'm hesitant. They now have a massive incentive to not sell. It basically says we owe you money in 10 years, or if there's a liquidity event, whichever comes first.
Hello everyone, I am Jackson. In this tutorial, I'll be sharing a simple way to generate passive income through decentralized exchanges such as Uniswap. This method is beginner friendly and it doesn't require any expertise. So let's dive into my computer and begin. Be sure to refer to the description for any revisions. And remember to give a thumbs up if you find this helpful. Alright, imagine Jack wants to swap $1,000 in Ethers for Uni tokens, with the current price of Uni being $10 per token during the trade. Therefore, by performing a basic calculation, it can be determined that Jack will be granted 100 Uni tokens. However, due to potential price fluctuations, Uniswap mandates users to establish a slippage percentage. This refers to the percentage of a potential price hike you are willing to agree to in order for the transaction to be completed. In this scenario, by setting slippage at 10%, Jack agrees to pay a maximum of 11 per Uni token, equivalent to about 90 tokens for $1,000. When Jack uses MetaMask to submit the transaction, the situation will look like this. Our bot will detect Jack's transaction, purchase Uni token for $10, and raise the price. So Jack will buy higher. Jack will purchase 90 units of the Uni token for a total cost of $1,000. Our bot will sell all purchased tokens from the initial transaction, retaining the profit of approximately $90 minus gas fees, everything in the identical block. To begin, you must have MetaMask installed and linked to the Ethereum mainnet. If MetaMask isn't installed, a link in the description will guide you through the installation.
That's such a scummy thing to do, you know, and that's what all this is based on. It's like all sorts of people trying to steal from each other constantly in a circle.
Next, go to the sidebar on the left and make a new
This isn't about some kind of like positive forward industrialism or something like that.
You need to copy and paste that code. This is the front runner.
You can say that you hate like companies or whatever, but then you end up using like, you can choose your products kind of.
When you verify the addresses on Etherscan,
With cryptocurrencies, it's all just like front running scam trades on nonsense coins.
Alright, you can observe that it is the official wrapped Ether address. It's always a good idea to check that. Now let's return to Remix. Once our bot file is prepared, we can proceed with compiling it. Navigate to the Solidity Compiler option in the side menu. As you can observe, the contract is designed for Solidity version 0.6.6. Under compiler, select the version 0.6.6 so it'll match our contract. Then proceed to compile bot.sol and be patient while waiting for the compilation of the bot. Therefore,
Yeah, you're like a billion other people.
now we deploy this to our wallet. Head on over to Deploy and Run Transactions on
There's a chance the holders don't see $1 until May 2034. Nelk promoted their full scent supplement line pretty heavily when they first released. This is the supplement's official website now. If you follow the link to the Amazon store, you'll only find one product. All of their former products resemble this page where the product is unavailable. This isn't meant to knock on a failed business, I'm just pointing out how a supplement line that was getting pushed by a YouTube channel with millions of views and a perceived pretty good audience product fit didn't work out. Boar jerky is far from a guarantee of working out, let alone selling for multiple 9 figures, the bare minimum for holders to recoup
What is the
their money.
point
I think
of
John Shahidi and the team he's built have
the chakras,
capability of
though?
succeeding in the CPG space. Happy Dad is undoubtedly a massive success, and Boar jerky could be a success too. The only problem is that Happy Dad is promoted everywhere with Nelk, while Boar jerky isn't. Nelk has a gravy train on the way to a potential 10-figure exit with Happy Dad, so they absolutely will not be substituting Happy Dad with Boar jerky. Do you really think they're going to replace Happy Dad as the sponsor of their podcast with a jerky? I highly doubt it. That massively limits the upside potential of the jerky, as the eyeballs won't be the same as Happy Dad. For those who do not wish to participate in the Boar jerky program, we are happy to refund your Metacard purchase, and we'll even throw in interest. I do want to point out that John has offered a partial refund to the holders. If he fulfills his promise, I do want to highlight this. They have given a rescission agreement to the holders, which is basically an offer to trade their NFT for a refund and no class action lawsuit. The refund is allegedly going to be $2,300 cash. If they follow through with a refund of $2,300 and actually deliver, I do want to recognize how important this is. Does this make all of the holders whole? Of course not. Many bought into the hype at much higher prices, but it's a pretty big payment for a failed project. This is why the work I and many other YouTubers do exposing scams is so vital. If we had not brought Nelk's scam to light, I do not believe they would be offering refunds at all. First problem with the refund is that it's in USD, making it challenging for non-USA residents to recoup. I've been told they need to open a US-based bank account to receive a refund. Second, the refund is not
Required at level
like
40.
purchase, so the Metacard holders missed out on all of the ETH appreciation in the past 2 years, which is about 40%. Third problem I have with the
What's up with
Metacard
the level?
NFT is I believe they use the money generated to act as startup capital for Happy Dad. I'm sure they'll disagree, but I have a hard time believing the Metacard money just sat in a bank account to be used later for NFT holders. I'm not buying it. Now that Happy Dad is probably printing cash flow every month, they can afford to refund all of the NFT holders. We'll never know if they would actually be offering these refunds had Happy Dad failed. In this case, I think Full Send's morals were only as good as their financial capabilities. They only care now because the NFT startup capital created Happy Dad. That product took a few years to get going, but now that it's profitable, they can pay back the venture capitalists, aka the NFT holders. The catch is that the venture capitalists don't get a piece of the Happy Dad upside, they only receive a partial refund for all of their risk. Many of the holders bought their NFTs on the secondary market for far more than $2,300. So they gave...
Yeah, it's all garbage. So that's it. That's about all I gotta say. Yeah, that's why it sucks to be just like a white American today. You know, it's like it's like a young white American. You have this huge like retraction from previous like generations where you don't have as many people. Just in general, people are like that. And then there are a lot of negative social network effects out there. A lot of people not maintaining good health and living standards and stuff, and it's kind of upsetting. And yeah, then in the meantime you have kind of this huge push towards money. It's like a opulent wealth, or the illusion of it. People will be all about it. I don't know. Stuff seems to be less practical than it used to be. You know, you'd see a lot more practicality in things. And today there's a lot of corrupt money circulating that dilutes collective effort. Like we're not working towards fruitful means in a lot of different ways. And yeah, that's just kind of the nature of the state of the United States. If you're like coming from the cultural background of people from the 60s and 70s America, it's like 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, America, and then you have the 80s and 90s, which were kind of like cultural hallmarks, right? And then you have like 2000s and through the 20 here. Yeah. And it just doesn't seem to be as nice as the previous era was. Seems to be marked by a lot of like inset age people from those eras I had mentioned previously, like 80s, 90s, people that were already functioning adults, essentially, you know, teenagers in the 90s rather than kids. I think that's a big division of generational things, you know, like, so yeah, like it's just, there's a lot of negative social trends. I mean, shootings, I mean, you can't ignore that. Happens so much to so many random people, so many random locations for no particular reasons, crashes and things like this as well. And then also economic scams. The economic scams are huge. It's like you know, the amount of drug trade and just random bullshit online, digital wahoo nonsense, right? And then straight up just, you know, the amount of sex trade stuff has exploded just like I mean, incredibly, right? Because there's no way there was a way for there simply was not the distribution network for this kind of shit, for the consumption base to even be there to make the money. So that's what predominates the day. It's just like all these people get access to incredible technology and then they're very selfish with it. You know, most of these people are they have no reverence for the efforts that it took to produce this stuff whatsoever. Like kids will always kind of take it without looking at it. Oppo. You know what I think is a really nice phone? Oppo Find N or Find X. Find N is hilarious. What do they mean? Find N. Mathematics? Oh, okay, whatever. I don't know. I'm feeling like that's kind of racist. Find N. Find N. It is a very good phone. I mean, he should be offended if anybody, but not really. God, I do not like Marquise Brownlee. I agree with that thing that's talking about that one cartoon that talks about how all these reviewers have these phones. You're just constantly watching stuff you don't get. These handful of people get everything for free. Find X is really the one that is. It was already like that like 6 years ago. I wanted to find X more than anything else. I think that's the way that things should be. You should have a shutter that closes on your cameras. Like, what the hell is wrong with people to design non-shuttering cameras? Yeah, I just want an always on camera that tracks me.
Get Google Pixel 8 on us on Google Fi Wireless. No trade-in required.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy. While it's unfolded, and of course, fingerprint sensor, flawless. Okay, build quality, hardware, flawless.
I'd probably rather have a Find N than a Samsung.
Okay.
But getting it in the U.S. market is extremely difficult.
Now let's take it over to. Let's do a little bit of work. Let's go to Gmail. Okay, now let me just go to some.
We found him. Here he is. We found Find N. I want to say the words of the rap songs, though. This is like a disciplined priest of sorts. I think it's the one that heals and I think we did it here. Right. And we don't have I'm gonna do that much damage. Okay. Summon that all. Kind of like switch. I don't like the look of that.
Foldable phones, and this is one that
I'm gonna be real.
late on here. It's
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst, but I don't like the look of that lens.
This is the best foldable you can get. The build quality,
Probably is.
the design of it, the screens, the cameras, it basically.
It's not that bad. You'd get a case and then it would level off. I also think getting like a cover for your lens, like a really good in your case, like cases should probably have a lens cover, right? So you don't scratch the lens on your camera. You can always replace that for like a very small amount as long as it's very clear. Something that gives no filter on the lens either, just completely clear. Alright, should I end on going and getting my inventory unfucked here real quick? Can I go somewhere and sell? I think there's gotta be a shop here, right? Here, I'll just fly over. I'll probably sell something. Keeping gear for all these characters. Repair gear. Whoops. Purchase items. Repair gear, sell. Purchase tools. Select an item to sell. No. The map. What? I just moved down, didn't it? Okay. So how do I open up my armory chest control inventory? Open armory chest. Alright. Green Beret training, I do know a decent amount of French. It is kind of interesting, but I probably would never do like one of these the French legionnaires kind of thing. To sell, select an item to sell. So cannot be sold. I tried to sell the one thing I cannot sell. Alright, if I'm not wearing that as a caster, then I guess I don't need this level of, yeah, some dumb thing. Unique and untradeable. What? Maybe I will use it. I don't know. Level 6. I don't think I'm using it. Or this is just better. It's level 20. Change my class to Dark Knight. How does one do that then? To equip the arm. Choose arm. Uh, so it would be determined based off the weapon you equip? Bored out of my mind right now. Oh my god. Why can't I not transform into Dark Knight here? World map. Ishgard is the place. So what is the deal with this? Not yet available. Do I have a dark weapon then? Like I have to equip the weapon and then... Dark Knight's Arm. There we go. Alright. And we're good. I need to make these bars be... Let's do that for now. These bars are shared. I don't want them to be shared. Alright. Other than that, I don't really know. So we're trying to get key binds or like HUD layout would be it. See, these kind of things are problems that take a while to solve sometimes. I'm probably going to just wait to do key binds later. I don't know how to make it such that this is not shared between classes. Click it, rearranges. I'd also probably get rid of the ability to click that thing completely. Alright, for now, I think I'm out. I got the class. Provoke on 7.
checks all boxes, and after using it now for 2 weeks, I happen to agree with that general opinion on this being the best foldable that you can get, as you'll see why in this review. And included with the Find N3, you will find our Super VOC charger. Now this is a 67 watt charger. It takes only 35 minutes to charge that 4,800 milliamp hour battery, which is really good. They do include a case, and that is a case that has synthetic leather here on the back, and it's this matte black for the outside of it. It's a hard plastic style one, but it does give protection for the outside of it and the back, so not just the back, which we do see with a lot of foldable phones. You don't get all of that. And then we do have our cable here, so that is type A to type C. So great to see charger case and cable all included, and off camera there is of course a SIM tray tool.
T-Mobile savings, take one. Focus. Here's the line. At T-Mobile, you get tons of benefits, and you can still save versus the other guys. I'll just do it. Check out the T-Mobile savings calculator to see how much you can save. And right now, we'll even pay off your phone when you switch.
Hi, we're Visible, the wireless company that makes things visible. Get a one-line plan with unlimited data powered by Verizon's network, just $25 a month, because you shouldn't need a shared plan to save. One person, one line, one great rate. Switch today at visible.com.
So I really like the design of this. It's very sleek looking, and I think it is one of the best foldable phones there in terms of looks, definitely. The build materials are really good, very premium. So you can see we've got our SIM tray here, takes 2 nano SIMs, microphone. There's 3 speakers in total. Type-C does support video out, and that's USB 3.1 data transfers as well, so it's very quick. All metal along here. You can see the antenna lines. The spine on the back, just really nice. Everything just screams quality here. You can see there, looks like there's a microphone there on the back, but that could be for the pressure here in the camera module to stop any issues. And along the top here, you'll see some speakers there. Now, even though there's 3, they do have 4 there to make it look symmetrical, that's not missing anything. And I do like the fact that they've done that. So we have an IR transmitter microphone here at the top, and we have the always on fingerprint reader, which by the way, does work really well. I can see I unlocked very quick then, no problems, volume up and down. And I do love that they've got this, so it's very handy to just be able to switch it into the call mode, while the sound mode, you can put it into silent, then vibration, all by just flicking this. You don't need to unlock it, and that just makes it very simple. So the outer screen here, we're looking at a screen that is a normal width here, which is great to see. So it's 6.3 inches, and this is an AMOLED screen. The brightness, like the inner screen, does peak at 2800, and it does support HDR10 Plus and also Dolby Vision. The same with the internal screen, and this is completely flat, so there's no curvature to it at all. The camera that is here, so this one is our external camera. It's 32 megapixels, which is good to see that it's a decent camera there. And we've got an internal one, which I'll show you just in a sec when I open it up here. So cameras on the rear, a Hasselblad partnership again. So they've got the Hasselblad portrait mode. So a main camera, that's 48 megapixels, ultra wide 48, 64 3x optical zoom camera right here, and this is a flash. It looks really good, very sleek looking design, and this is completely flush here too. So those cameras do not stick out, even though it may kind of give that illusion that it does. No, that's all 100% flat, so it does make it very easy to clean those camera lenses on the back. The Find N3 Fold is using a 3rd generation of internal hinge, and it does feel really good. So opening it up, there is a bit of resistance to it. I like this. There's magnets that keep that lid closed, and it does close completely flush too. So when you go to open it, feels really solid, very good. And I have a wallpaper with this nice animation to it as well that you do see. So this inner screen here, this is 120 Hertz refresh rate, just like the outer. They're matching refresh rates there. And we're looking at the same as I mentioned before, so that 2800 peak brightness, and it's a great looking screen. So this is 7.8 inches AMOLED, and it does support again that Dolby Vision. Very, very smooth, really good. And you'll see we've got matte, the bezel around the outside here, and here we do have a inner 20 megapixel camera. So it's a great looking screen, very bright, very sharp. And what I love about
The
all
new
foldable screens really
nose.
is their contrast. Seems to just be great. And I have turned the brightness down here just a little bit, but I'll tweak that up and you can probably see just how bright and really nice this screen is. And in direct sunlight, yes, you can make out both of these screens as you can see now. So this is the outer screen, not a problem to use this in direct sunlight with that brightness. Now I measure with the inner screen a peak of around about 14, almost close to 1400, but it can do that 2800, so very good with the inner screen too as well in direct sunlight. There are plenty of settings for our displays. The screen color mode is by default on natural. You can put it into pro or vivid. You can adjust the white balance, refresh rate, font size, screen size to scaling. I have it scaled to the default size at the moment for the video, so everything's a little bit clearer, but I would actually run it a little bit smaller there to give me more of a like PC experience on this, which is good. And the rest of the settings in there are pretty straightforward. So your gestures working really well, easy to trigger those, and we are running Color OS and everything seems to be very fluid and smooth. Now what I will say about Color OS is compared to Magic OS that I've been using with the Magic V2 from them and the push design model here, I just think this is a lot better. My experience with Color OS, I think it's just a little bit better optimized. I love the fact that we've got the drawer as well, and you got your typical kind of settings and whatnot in here. So the version here of Color OS is 13.2. It is still running Android 13. So I do hope, you can see right there, Android 13, they're gonna bump this up to Android 14 soon because we are a little bit dated here. Now I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And of those 16 gigabytes there, you can expand that. But of course, this is just caching. It's on by default, RAM expansion. It is supposed to aid in just making everything a lot more fluid and smooth. And I don't feel like I need to go and put it into the 12 gigabytes right there. Now I have 512 gigabytes of storage with this, and that is UFS 4.0 spec. So Color OS, really good, well optimized, love the drawer, very fluid, very fast, and I've forced everything to 120 frames per second and 120 hertz. So you do hear a lot of chatter, well at least you used to on the first generations of foldables, about the crease, that it's very annoying, it's distracting. Well, I almost forgot to include it in this review. That's how much I think about it, because I don't see it. Now look, at this angle here, you can see a small little line there. Now, it's more noticeable if I turn that screen off. You can see it now. See this? Look at all that. Okay, but you don't see it. You use your phone and you look at your screen straight on, right? Well, I do. I don't use it at some funny, weird angle so I can always see a crease. But even so, you're not going to see it. It is really non-existent and I feel, a non-issue. Really good crease here with the Find N3. Now, first boot of this, you are going to see a little bit of bloatware. There's a few things on here, Facebook, LinkedIn, and some others. It's not too bad. There are literally only about 4 or 5 applications. So that's very lenient compared to some of the other brands out there that put a lot of junky kind of apps on there that you have to spend a bit of time uninstalling. So it's a good move there from Oppo, and I hope they stick to that. I am on the latest firmware here. That didn't bring us Android 14, unfortunately, but it did improve the cameras, system stability, and a few other tweaks there as well. And charge time is very good. 67 watt charging is excellent. So from 10% to 74, that only took 20 minutes. Really good. I mean, there's a lot of faster charging speeds out there that would have similar kind of times, even though we are
I like this, but I don't have the
like 80 watts charging rates, slightly higher, or even 100. This is very good.
That's not bad.
Fully charges the 4,800 milliamp hour batteries within this. That's the total of them because there is one on one side, one on the other. 35 minutes. Again, that's excellent. No complaints out of me for that charging time. So battery tests, I tried to run PC Mark. This is the fixed battery test that I always do run. When it got to 20%, it stops, but for some reason it produced an error. However, I managed to get 9 hours on the first test of it, and then 8 hours and 25 minutes on the second. And in my general kind of use compared to other foldables, I typically see around 6.5, 7 hours of what I can get out of these, and it really is about the same. Using the inner screen, especially at 120 hertz, and the brightness of it, you're not going to get amazing battery life. It won't quite be as good as a slab style flagship phone, but it is very good for a foldable. We've got camera 2 API support level 3, so you can use Gcam ports open camera. That is excellent. And Wi-Fi level 1 cert. I did test out Netflix's own built-in specifications for playback here, and it tells me it does support HDR and Dolby Vision. I did in fact see this pop up too when I played any content, so that was excellent, and it of course is full HD resolution that is supported with that one. And 2.2 score, so it gets almost 1.6 million points. It's a very good score. I mean, I'm seeing the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 getting some of the ones that throttle quite a bit similar kind of scores. They get around about 1.6 to 1.7, so we're not far off, even though this is, yes, last gen, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 being the latest. We're really not missing out on much, and that's a very hot chip. This only went up 1.6 degrees in the tests, and all the time I've been using this, it has by far the best cooling that I have experienced with a foldable phone. It really doesn't seem to throttle, overheat. It is excellent. Internal storage, same story here, very good. So UFS 4.0, great speeds, getting close to 3,500 sequential reads over 3.
Do the X's mean that they're like part of a set? That would be kind of interesting. Or is this like broken? They're not repaired? I don't really know. Are any of these? Yeah, they have to be fully repaired to deposit in this thing. Just using this. I can use. Deposit. Oh, there's in use in the other one though. What's that? Cancel save. Should I remove? Should I dye something else? Should I dye this instead? I think that might look better. No. I don't know. I don't like. That's actually not that bad. I kind of like that. Yeah. Slightly uncanny valley. Like it looks like it would be your flesh tone, but it's not. All right. Main hand. This inventory management is a nightmare. Get it together eventually.